Gateway crew. It's me, Magnificent Marcus here, and just wanted to share with you a model that I remembered that I used to share a number of years ago. And I think this model is more relevant than it's ever been, and it's called the Client Evolutionary Journey. And it really is about how clients move through their evolution, certainly when they're interacting with a wellness professional. And there's this really distinct evolutionary pathway that they tend to follow. And what I find is that practitioners tend to focus on particular areas of this evolutionary journey. And when you understand exactly where you're focused, it can help you to to be more effective, have more success, a whole lot of things. At the end of the day, I think we should have an offering and the ability to help people through the whole journey. And that goes for us as much as it goes for our clients. So let's share the journey and then let's have a bit of a chat about how this sort of may fit and work for you. All right, let's dive in and let's see if I can get this to work now. And if you are here watching, can you tell me if you can hear me okay? This is my second go at this because the microphone decided not to work. So Erica, Megan, can you please just send me a note just saying, yes, Marcus, we can hear you. All well and good. All right, let's dive in. So I think there's 4 steps in the evolutionary journey with a client. Generally, the very first step and the first thing that the first way they enter the evolution is through the healing process. And if I look at my journey with chronic fatigue, that's how I got into this space. And really, the healing journey is all about the alleviation of suffering. So the very first step, often the first step where people come in and enter into this sort of evolutionary pathways is at the healing level, where they might have been like me in the corporate world, going along in this 3D space, fitting in, doing what they're meant to be doing, doing the right thing, being a good citizen, and then they have this healing crisis. And of course, the first thing they want to do is get out of suffering. They want to alleviate that suffering. And so this is often where they enter the practitioner space at the healing level. And this may be the area where you're helping people right now, is in the alleviation of suffering. I think once the suffering's done and that's over, the pain's now subsided, the illness is getting better, it might not be fully healed yet, but you're definitely on the road to healing. The next thing that happens is that clients step into or want to step into their essence. And the step into essence is all about alignment and aligning with one's truth. So I think what happens when they start to sort of step into the next phase, which is what we're calling the alignment phase or essence phase, what they're looking for now is that, okay, what happened? Why did I get sick? What's really going on? What is my essence? And how do I not get sick again, or how do I not get into that healing crisis again? And so they're wanting to try and align with their truth. Once they've done that, once they've found their essence, they've aligned into their truth, the next evolution for them is lifestyle. Lifestyle. And in lifestyle, this is all about aspiring to a better life. So they then aspire to a better life. Oop, not that one. Let's do this and let's go here. So what's happened is they've got sick, right? They've been in a realm or a world that maybe doesn't fit them. Like I did the corporate world, I got chronic fatigue. I searched for the alleviation of my suffering. Once I started to heal, I then started to look at my essence, right? And aligning to what is my truth? Why am I here? What's this all about? Once I'd started that journey, the next thing was lifestyle. Okay, what do I need to change? How do I have a better life so I never, ever sort of end up, going back to this point again. So I never ever go back into that state. So what do I need to change in my life? How do I have that better way of life? So the final step then is to step into what we call purpose. Purpose. And purpose is all about actualizing. Actualize. And for me, that actualization was, wow, that's what I need to do is I need to go out and heal people from, maybe similar things to what I was dealing with. I have to help awaken the world. I have to help people to step into their purpose and truth and all that sort of stuff. And so then obviously clients, or in my case, go on and become healers, right? They become the healer. And I'm sure a number of us got to this place because of this journey. We had, a sickness, an illness, a problem. We alleviated that problem. We then started to dive into, well, what is my truth? We then started to look at, okay, how do I have a better life? And then finally we went, right, what's my true purpose? Because I don't want to go back to the corporate world again. And so then we sort of jumped into that. Now, generally what I find is practitioners sit in one of these spaces and sometimes get stuck in it, which means that they don't have an offering for every phase that a client's going to go through. And often the thing that practitioners get stuck in these first two is the one-on-one practice, seeing clients one-on-one. Because often these two things seem to be quite a one-on-one sort of process, right? But it's really easy to sort of get stuck in this one-on-one space. Where we're focused really on the alleviation of suffering and potentially on the uncovering of someone's essence. I think when you step up to the next level where you're really helping people with lifestyle and purpose, what you start to enter into is what I would call the one-to-many process, or the one-to-many space. And so generally when we all start in clinic, we start with the one-on-one space. And this is about one-on-one sort of clinic work, right? And really, healing is done best with the one-on-one, and essence to some degree is best with that. So this looks like this area looks like a modality, right? And this essence looks more like coaching, right? When we start to move into this one-to-many, when we start to focus on a one-to-many format, what ends up happening is this starts to look like group work, so group courses and programs that you're going to take people through. And this purpose tends to look like things like retreats and taking people away to really actualize their purpose and who they are and what they're absolutely here to do. And it tends to start to look a lot like retreats and things like that, weekends away, programs that are intensive around purpose and self-actualization. Now, again, what sometimes happens is that, practitioners can get really stuck in these two spaces of just doing one-on-one, right? And they can get caught in that space. But when you can start to move through, you can start to get into flow and then finally into abundance. And in some respects, what you're doing is following this same process, right? In that when you start, you're going to start with the healing space. You're going to move more into realize that you need to do a bit more coaching. You're then going to start to realize, wow, if I can do group work, I can help more people, but I can help people change their lives. And finally, if I can really step into the space, I can start running retreats and taking people on, big experiences of evolution. At the end of the day, the whole aim of this is evolve. And I think we have to do it from a client point of view, where the client evolves by following this process. And I think we have to do it as practitioners so that, we may have already gone through the evolutionary journey from alleviation to alignment to aspire to actualize. We then go out and start a business and we start back at the scratch again, where we're just alleviating suffering and we need to move through these and have these offers for our clients, because our clients are going to move. And if we just stay here, what's going to happen is when they get to the alignment, they're going to go find someone else. And if we just stay there in alleviation alignment, when they get to aspire, they're going to find someone else. And again, they get to actualization, they're going to find someone else. And I think as part of your evolution as a practitioner, it's about being able to do these things. And you may find at the end of the day, you just stay at at this end of the scale, right? Or you may even choose just to stay at this end of the scale. But the key is to be really clear about where you're heading and where you want to fit in this evolutionary journey. So while you're here, Erica and Megan, where do you fit in this evolutionary journey from sort of a practice point of view or a personal point of view? Where are you sitting on this evolutionary journey? I'd love you to type it into the chat bar if you can. And Deborah has joined us. Welcome, Deborah. But I'd love to know, guys, where do you sit on this journey? And again, there's no right or wrong. There's no better place to be than another. There are a lot of amazing healers that just stay, in this space here. And that's okay. You can stay in whatever space you want. But I think to have the most evolved business and the most evolved version of this, then you either need to have an offering for all the journey or fit into sort of one part or the other part and really step powerfully into that. I think is probably the best thing that we can do. It's really a beautiful journey, and part of my evolutionary process is to help you to do this, is to really help you to be on purpose. And that's really sort of my focus. There is an evolutionary part of the journey past this, which we're now exploring and starting to work on. And I'm going to share that really soon. But right now, my main focus is on purpose. That's why I teach people to be practitioners, to be the deepest, most profound practitioner possible. And it's also why we're doing more retreats this year, to take people to have that full experience of shifting their life, but really being on purpose, and stepping into that sort of 5D space. So, hey, Megan, I'm on my own personal healing journey, gaining clarity on how I can share with others. Yay, beautiful. So maybe you're in the alignment phase, the essence phase, where you're really trying to find the truth of who you are and what that healing journey means for you, and starting to move into the lifestyle space, maybe. I think it's good to just understand, where exactly am I on this journey, and where do I need to, what's the next opportunity or the next place for me to sort of powerfully step into. And often we need help to get from one of these circles to another. We need support and help and, coaching, mentoring, whatever. Again, these two areas here are much more along the sort of mentoring line, mentor slash sort of teacher is really what we do here. Whereas down here, we're sort of modality coach sort of focused. But definitely up in these sort of spaces, we're more in the teacher, mentor, and here we're in the modality practitioner, coach sort of space. And that's part of the evolution for wellness professionals. So, all right. So I hope that's helpful. Please type below. Let me know if that was helpful. And look forward to sharing a whole lot more on this and many, many other topics. All right, have a beautiful, amazing day, and here's to evolving in 2026 to a whole other level. Looking forward to the journey. All right, ciao.